England has changed its style. Owen Farrell must prove that he is fit. No great surprise that the Saracens director of rugby Mark McCall has been blowing the trumpet for his England absentees. If there is a secret to Saracens, it is that togetherness that knows no limit. In terms of pure spirit, they have long been my favorite team. You would love to play for a team who cares so much for one another. McCall sets the tone. The players follow. They would run through the old metaphorical brick wall for their boss. There is no greater study in loyalty than has been displayed by the outstanding Ulster man. Had McCall not suggested recalls for the Vunipola brothers earlier this week, it would have been a shock, as would a refusal to endorse Owen Farrell. McCall painted all the positives surrounding his fly half without touching on the small matter of his long-standing loss in form. There were signs of autumnal improvement in tandem with Marcus Smith, but the dilemma surrounds the way the national team play. Can Smith operate at his peak with the long shadow of the England captain in a close-knit partnership? Can England unpick defenses of, say, South Africa's caliber, with the less than instinctive, predetermined style of play that makes Farrell so beloved of his coaches? Among other undoubted qualities, the Saracens fly half has his supporters, but there are many wise heads who believe England need the liberation of Smith, who brings so many more gears with his game. There is also the fact that Farrell has only 2 games in which to prove his form. McCall's recent declarations of support read more as acts of faith in his man than a coherent reason for picking him either ahead of or alongside Smith. He will be expected to be available for a European Challenge Cup match against London Irish on January 23rd, and a week later Saracens play Wasps on the Sunday before the start of the Six Nations. McCall claims Farrell bounces back well from spells away from the game. It cannot be said that life in the lower key championship prepared him well for the international leap of playing for England or the British Irish Lions in 2021. Jones is another devotee of this hard man, but questions surround his captaincy as well as his form. The cool and calm showed by Courtney Lawes as his replacement was an exemplary display of understated leadership. In fine form, far from flustered when South Africa put the squeeze on England, he couldn't have done more to put himself in line as a contender for the captaincy should Farrell be missing from what we all hope will be the first of England's Six Nations matches against Scotland on the first Saturday of February. Farrell has versatility on his side. Those who are waiting for Smith to fail have Farrell marked down as an option to slot into the number 10 shirt from 12. Jones has expressed his interest in the numberless philosophy of the game. This gives the England manager option. Henry Slade is wandering his way towards world class. Manu Tuilagi may one day be fit enough to take his place anywhere along the back line, while Marchant and Freddie Steward make it easier to select an out-and-out specialist in one of the most special of positions. That man is fly half, George Ford. Smith has the attributes to become a superstar, but the way he operates so close to the gain line, with so little time either for himself or opposing defenders, suggests there have to be hiccups along the way. When he and England start to suffer and get smacked around, the ideal option is the surgical precision of Ford. Sure, he probably kicks the ball more often on average than his old mate, but there is usually a good reason for booting the ball down the field. Under pressure of a malfunctioning game plan, it isn't Farrell's aggressive follow-me approach that restores the equilibrium. It is poise. Anyone who needs to see these attributes in action should watch the 2020 England defeat in France again. As France dominated, Farrell faded in a righteous fury, unable to figure out what needed doing. Ford chivied the troops and kicked England into the right positions, almost snatching victory from the jaws of defeat. What works for this Saracens team has worked in the past for England. The club have been the core of the Jones England operation. His addiction to Saracens proved his undoing in their year's exile from the big time. The individual unravelling was not the greatest shock. The gulf between second-tier club rugby and the test arena was unbridgeable. It was more the fault of Jones in selection and the Saracens players in performance. Now they are back and their director is calling for their recall. But Jones and England have shifted their style of play. There is more of Harlequins ambition than Saracens pressure and percentage rugby. In England's prime, many players had to fit their club style of rugby into the Saracens/England template. Now men, especially those such as Farrell returning from injury, have to prove they can succeed in another style.